year that was 2013.
Prime Minister Kevin Rudd kicked off the new financial year by announcing his new 29-strong ministry, which contained a record number of women, 11, and a record number of genuine Kevin Rudd supporters, 3. It was the third cabinet reshuffle this year, and quite frankly, Governor-General Quentin Bryce was sick to death of them. Just as well I got a family connection. Overseas, controversial whistleblower Edward Snowden withdrew his appeal for asylum in Russia after spending a week in the transit lounge of Moscow airport. Though Russian authorities had no objection to him staying, Snowden said the airport parking fees were crippling him. With the new ban on live betting odds in place, the New South Wales government extended an olive branch to problem gamblers by announcing a second casino for Sydney. To be built by James Packer, it will be known as the Miranda Casino. A week after swearing in his new ministry, Kevin Rudd showed how comfortable he was with his new caucus by stripping them of the power to replace him.
We're working on those one by one.
While Tony Abbott revived memories of his climate change is crap theorem by dismissing emissions trading schemes as
the non-delivery of an invisible substance to no one.
Very much like the offer of hope, reward and opportunity for climate change commissioners. And on the subject of hope, the Labor government began running advertisements in Australian newspapers promoting its new PNG solution. The essence of the ads, "Go home, we hate you," was expected to have a dramatic impact on overseas refugees with subscriptions to Australia's daily newspapers. Also in July, 3 aides of former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi were found guilty of recruiting prostitutes for his famous Bunga Bunga parties. A week later, former IMF head Dominic Strauss-Kahn was set to be tried for pimping after an inquiry into sex parties he attended. Clearly, Europe's austerity measures didn't apply to everyone. But say what you like about Julia Gillard, at least we knew what she was up to at night. The Duchess of Cambridge delivered a baby boy and decades of magazine copy when she gave birth to His Royal Highness Prince George of Cambridge. The prince is now just third in line for the throne, a throne he couldn't even sit on right now without falling off all the time, and which would need one of those toilet holes cut out of it, assuming it doesn't already have one. In 2013's ultimate preaching to the converted moment, Pope Francis spoke out against marginalisation of gay people while on board a fully crewed airliner. August began with Robert Mugabe winning 142 out of 210 seats in the Zimbabwe election, leaving election scrutineers no choice but to order a judicial inquiry into how he failed to win the other 68. Still on world events, and Apple was ordered to pay a $166 million settlement after being found to have illegally conspired to raise the prices of e-books. A separate action on the prices of Ewoks remains before the courts. And Scottish actor Peter Capaldi, star of The Thick of It, was announced to be the next to play the Doctor on the long-running and now retitled BBC sci-fi series Doctor Who the F*** Do You Think You Are, You Snivelling Piece of Gobshite. Back home, with the election only 1 month away, Prime Minister Rudd announced that former Queensland Premier Peter Beattie would be Labor's candidate for the seat of Forde. Mr Rudd explained the move in a special presentation, or Beattie Forde Clinic. One Nation candidate Stephanie Bannister withdrew from the election after making international headlines by describing Islam as a country.
I don't oppose Islam as a country.
When, as everyone knows, Islam is in fact the name of the singer formerly known as Cat Stevens. Tony Abbott's attitude to women again came under question after he described a female Liberal candidate as having
A bit of sex appeal?
However, it was explained that the remark wasn't sexist because Mr Abbott has 3 daughters.
Bridgie, babe, you got things under control, have you?
Still on the campaign trail, and Kevin Rudd took a more literal approach to the usual cliched shot of a politician speaking with a bunch of tools behind him. While former Labor MP Craig Thompson claimed he could still win the marginal seat of Doe Bell as an independent. To retain the seat, Mr Thompson would need a swing of approximately 173 criminal charges away from him. August 25 was the campaign launch for the Palmer United Party. The first thing to get right was the choice of music, something that said that this party was new, fresh, different. Had the guts, got the glory. It was perfect. August 26 saw what appeared to be a change in tone for Coles television commercials as Miley Cyrus and her big hand kicked aside the old down, down, prices are down jingle, opting for a more contemporary feel. With just 3 days until the country went to the polls, the Big Brother housemates were, of course, unaware an election had been called. This may not have been any different had they not been locked away in the Big Brother house. Political leaders made their pitch to the housemates, with Tony Abbott opting for the Robert Palmer addicted to love look.
I'm the guy with the not bad-looking daughters, isn't that right?
Labor took heart from this unique booth, though, with an exit poll showing a 100% swing to the government. But for once, Big Brother was not an accurate reflection of real life. Come election night, Kevin Rudd stepped down as Prime Minister, although he did extend his reign substantially with his concession speech. Labor had recorded its lowest primary vote in 100 years. The late switching of leaders had not only failed to bring home the bacon, it had left it still attached to the Labor pig that had been thrashing around in its own filth for the last few years. A raft of minor parties won seats in the Senate, including the Australian Motorist and Kangaroo Feces Enthusiast Party, while former rugby league great Glenn Lazarus became leader of the Palmer United Party in the Senate. To paraphrase John Howard, this is Lazarus without the triple bypass. He looms as a threat to the passage of government legislation and as a terrifying prospect for those involved in the annual parliamentary rugby match. Tony Abbott calmly claimed victory, backed up again by the Addicted to Love girls, and was duly sworn in by Governor-General Quentin Bryce, by now developing carpal tunnel syndrome from these events, all once again in the company of the Addicted to Love girls. But despite the political honeymoon, one question continued to hover over Tony Abbott. Did he have a problem with women? Well, not in his cabinet, because there weren't any, other than Julie Bishop. And even then, he's made her foreign minister, so he's got her out of the country most of the time. There was widespread praise, though, for the appointment of Micallef as the minister assisting the Prime Minister for Women, although she did have a tough time fighting off Erica Betts and Ian Macfarlane for the job. While Communications Minister Malcolm Turnbull promised that his broadband network would match the speed with which the NBN board resigned after the coalition won the election. In the end, Labor had lost votes in most states, while the Electoral Commission only lost them in Western Australia. Back to you, Buggerlugs.
They give